What is divestment? Divestment means that you take your resources out, or your investment in a company, and you take that money out. So you're divesting in a company. So if you have a lot of money in some stock on the stock market, or you have a business, or you have some property, you divest by taking your money out. You take that investment out. That's divestment. And we know about divestment when it comes to Israel, for example, boycotting Israel. If there's any kind of resources or business that overlaps with Israel, Muslims for the past 8 months have been divesting from Israel more than ever. And alhamdulillah, this is good news. But there's a bigger concept of divestment, a more important concept of divestment. And this is really key to the question that every Muslim is asking. What can we do? What is going to happen in Palestine? What is going to happen with our brothers and sisters who are being ethnically cleansed in Palestine by the Israeli enemy? This is the question on everyone's mind, and everyone is talking about it. But we need to have less talk and more action. And that action that I want to advise everyone, and I have been recommending it over the past 8 months, is divestment. But not divestment in terms of money, because most of us don't have any kind of connection financially to the Zionist state. But I mean divestment in terms of our allegiances, divestment in terms of our ideas, divestment in terms of our values. Have we really divested from the West? Have we divested from this kind of U.S.-Israeli empire, this system? Because it's not just a government, it's not just a country, it's a system of ideas, it's a way of life. It does have the financial component, the corporate component, the global trade component. There is that aspect. And boycotting McDonald's, for example, or boycotting Starbucks, that is a financial divestment. That's important. We should continue to do that. But what about divesting in terms of ideas, in terms of our values? Do we still place these nations on a pedestal and look to them as role models or as an example? If we are ideally following Islamic guidelines and Islamic values, we know that we should not take these disbelievers who have shown all kinds of hostility to Islam and Muslims as role models. But still, there's that subtle influence. There's the influence of power. There's the influence of wealth. And what can really break that spell is the brutality that we've seen over the 8 months, the killing and the slaughter of Muslims that we have seen over the past months. This should be a wake-up call, so that if anyone is still deluded under this spell, that they will wake up and they will become woke. They'll become woke from this kind of mind control. So we have to divest spiritually. We have to divest intellectually. We have to divest in terms of understanding, okay, well, here's an example. The best model for governance is liberal democracy, and the best, regime for human happiness is this liberal human rights. And the best way to model your family is according to a feminist equality companionship model. And the best way to raise your children is according to this kind of secular educational model. And the best way to discipline your children is to not discipline them at all. For example, you have to consider your children more like your partners, your equals, this kind of liberal, positive psychology understanding of raising children. We have to divest from all of these things mentally, in terms of where our values are, what we see as important. And if we weren't doing that before on the basis of just sound Islamic aqidah and true Islamic belief, understanding the difference between kufr and iman, understanding the difference between values that are coming, man-made values invented by disbelievers, whereas true guidance from Allah, from the Quran and Sunnah, if we didn't understand that fully before, then certainly now we have to understand it. Certainly now we have to have that wake-up call and divest Because guess what? You know, what they're doing to Palestinians, they would do to any one of us. They would do to any one of us. They perhaps want to do that. They want to spread that death and destruction. And I'm talking about the US-Israeli hegemony over the entire globe. Whichever population becomes dispensable, whichever population becomes a nuisance, then that population has to be liquidated. And we've seen that throughout the past 200 years, certainly in the past 75 years. How many genocides and massacres and death and destruction have we seen at the hands of the United States, for example? Now, by the same token, if they would do it to Palestinians, they're doing it to them, they're going to do it to us. Similarly, some of these rulers, some of these leaders that are allowing this to happen to our Palestinian brothers and sisters, they would allow it to happen to me or you. They would also sit back and do nothing for me and you. So whenever you see all of this injustice happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters, imagine yourself, because the same exact thing applies to you and me. So this has to be a wake-up call.